I want to try to avoid having to clear this sample. So please replay this for me. And a lot of times it sounds very similar.
We had to replay a sample once because the clearance was $80,000, which is ridiculous. Clearance should not be $80,000. It is the At Odds podcast. Everyone's here. We get to debrief with Dame because he left early in the last episode. We get to talk about AI and have a little argument there. But one thing we never argue about is the fact that you can get free music distribution for 3 months, premium music distribution for free. You can upload a lot. If you have songs sitting around or you just are waiting for a sign to drop your project, this is the sign. Go to tolost.com and use the code ATODDS for the free 3 months. But you brought up something that I didn't realize you had, and this is specifically for producers. So producers who have beats.
It's not even specifically just for producers. It's any music that's uploaded to Lost. You can use our usage discovery tool, and you can find anywhere on the internet where your music is being used. So not just on social media, but on websites and things like that. So you can find other people that are using your music. And I know sometimes the first thing people think is like, oh, I'm going to find people that are illegally using my music and I'm going to sue them and I'm going to get money. I think of it more as like a collaboration or a networking opportunity, because most people aren't trying to like steal. They might just be posting your music because they're fans of it. So you can find people that are using your music and use that as a networking opportunity. Could you come across somebody that's using it illegally and it's getting a shitload of views and streams, or maybe somebody's monetizing it? Possibly, and you may need to go the legal route. But again, I think of it more of a collaboration tool. But we're going to be highlighting a lot of these tools and features because I think that there is a ton of things on Too Lost that go underutilized because and I take blame for it because it's part of my responsibility going forward to kind of let people know about the features and, you know, how to use them and what information people can draw from the information that's available on Too Lost, because there's more information available on Too Lost about your music, more data than any other platform. So we'll dive deeper into that in later episodes and on the Too Lost platform. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff on Too Lost. Use at odds and just log in and check it out.
That adds a new dimension for, you know, the producers who are dropping beats on there, because it's not just a matter of you monetizing, but it's a matter of you actually checking to see who has your beats and reaching out to them if they're not licensed. I have to do that all the time, but I usually just stumble on it, or it's because I get a claim from them. And so this is just another tool to make life easier. And speaking of making life easier, Dame, you want to talk about something that makes your life harder?
Well, I don't know if you wanted to pick, because I don't even know what the conversation was in regards to AI last week.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that.
You could jump straight to the point where you think I might disagree, because I have no idea what you're talking about when you say we might argue. So you could just jump straight to that part, and I'll let you know how I feel about it.
Well, and it wasn't just you. There were a lot of people saying this, even in the comment section after I thought I already explained my point. But you know, people are people. It's the point that was made by a couple people, brought up by Carl Folks, and I think you agreed with it, which is that an AI platform that is learning based on copyrighted materials, which is illegal based on every law that I've seen, is still about the same as any producer learning how to make beats based on their influences.
I wouldn't say it's the exact same, but I understand the logic, right? Like if somebody listens to a shitload of Motown music and then could damn near copy it to a T, like, or just replicate the sound on their own, what is the difference between, obviously a machine can process way more music, and it can do it way faster, but I would like to hear your response. I'm not saying that it makes it right, but you know, what did you guys come to the conclusion as, or what is your opinion on what the difference is?
Well, I mean, I agree that they're analogous in the sense that saying, you know, if I throw this basketball at your stomach, it's analogous to me shooting you in the stomach with a cannonball, because in both cases there's a projectile being ejected from something from me to you. But obviously the impact is different and the legalities are different. So for me, it's just three simple answers. One, copyright law expressly prohibits this from AI, and copyright law is based on what they consider significant human input, whatever that is. You know, I think it's problematic that it isn't fully explained, but hey, we're in a new era where none of this has ever been discussed before and never been litigated or legislated. So things are going to get interesting. The other reason is that if I'm a human, and I'm glad you brought up Motown, if I'm a human and I make something, say I'm Pharrell Williams and I make something that sounds like Motown or that sounds like Marvin Gaye, I get sued, and it's very clear who created that sound. So there's a chain of accountability that isn't convoluted, whereas with AI, and this is an argument that...
But you wouldn't get sued for making a Motown-like song?
I'm bringing up the Robin Thicke Blurred Lines case, which is precisely what happened. He and the label and the producer all got sued for creating a song that was Marvin Gaye-like. And so it could happen.
But wasn't it like a specific song? It wasn't like, I mean, because like the Bay Area sound gets jacked all the time. Like I don't know. I mean, unless you're talking about the case where I forget the name. It was I forget the case that we talked about recently where it was like a specific sound that what was that again?
The dance hall.
Yeah. But so wasn't the Robin Thicke tied to a specific song and not like a genre or a sound?
Yeah, I'm just bringing up the fact that there are legal precedents that could be considered similar to this, and in the sense that people say, well, you can't copyright a sound, and my thing is that yeah, you can. So I don't know, that lawsuit shocked everybody, and I think we're in for more surprises. But thirdly, even if I'm the most productive artist on the planet and I can create 50 songs a day, which is nuts, and I can not only create but publish 50 songs a day, that's nothing compared to what based on the two AI platforms that are currently being sued, and that's just the two of them. They're able to output something like 50 to 100 million songs a month with no copyright owner, with no artist, no human involved or being compensated, because if something is created out of thin air on an AI platform, based on how copyright law is now, there is no owner, unless with the King Wallonia situation, if everyone's doing what he's doing and putting lyrics into the AI, well, the master sound recording copyright is public domain because AI created that, but they created that based on previously existing songs, which is copyright infringement. And then on the underlying composition side, because there was significant human input in writing the lyrics, that's owned by the person who typed in the prompt. This is a pretty problematic and anti-human result of a creative process, if we're calling that. And I'm not going to be the guy that's saying, well, we got to kill AI. We got to get rid of it, like everyone in the comment section is saying. But
so you're just saying it's because AI could do it faster and better, like because a human can't process as many songs, they can't do it as quickly. Like it's wrong because AI. The only argument I would counter the initial logic that I was trying to explain with is like they're feeding it specific songs, but it's still I still see it as kind of similar. The only thing that you described that was different to me is that AI could do it faster and better.
Well, no, I think we would need some kind of neuroscientist to because it's not the way that the human mind works is not a computer. And we've known that. I mean, as an educator, I know that. And that's a big misconception about the process of learning. And you got people in the comments section that have no background in this either. That swear up and down it's the same thing. If someone plays me a song and then says, all right, make something like this, it absolutely, if I play one song to 10 different people and say, make me a song like this, we're going to get 10 different songs. And likely a lot of them aren't going to sound anything like the song because of the human element, because of the way the brain works, because it's not instant processing, instant analysis, and then sophisticated recall to the point of spitting out something so similar that it infringes on a copyright. It's hard for me. Like, you tell a producer, tell the best musician ever that's never made a beat in their life, hey, make a beat like this Lil Jon beat. It's the most simple thing. It's not even, there's one chord throughout the whole, they're not going to be able to do it because of their experience level. They just can't synthesize audio that fast, whereas a computer absolutely can.
So, but where do you draw the line, right? Like, so let's just say there is a person that is a little bit more, that is a lot more advanced, like a genius, right? And can replicate things. Like, where do you draw the line between, like, not okay to recreate based off of music that you hear and, like, AI? Like, is it a million songs being input? What if they only put in 5,000 songs? What if they only put in 300 songs? Like, is the number of songs, like, because, I mean, producers essentially do this all the time when they're asked to replay a sample, right? Like, I need something. Yeah. I want to try to avoid having to clear this sample. So please replay this for me. And a lot of times it sounds very similar.
Yeah. And it can't sound too similar. Otherwise, that producer is held accountable. In the situation with the AI, no one's being held accountable. And that's the argument that's being made by the AI developers. They're saying, well, we don't control what the AI spits out, which seems like the biggest legal cop-out on the planet. You don't get immunity because you created something that then spits something out, and then you throw your hands up and say, I'm not accountable for that. In the situation you gave, in the scenario that you gave, where a producer is, look, people in general steal music all the time. That's why there are constantly lawsuits. That's why you see Katy Perry getting sued by that Christian artist. We covered that story. That's why you see producers beefing over styles all the time. There's an accountability factor. And like I said, the chain of accountability is very clear. It's from the output to its creator, which is the producer, the rapper, whoever who stole that. It's very easy. It doesn't overwhelm the court system. And we have a very clear legal recourse for dealing with humans who steal. We don't for AI. And at this point,
that's your issue, is that we don't have somebody that's held accountable should a situation arise that violates a copyright.
Well, absolutely. We already know that copyright law expressly, and that's been a constant throughout this whole conversation, expressly prohibits using previously copyrighted materials without license to do so in AI training. We know that. So beyond that, it kind of seems to me that there shouldn't even be much conversation about the results because you've already crossed the line with creatives there. It's like, hey, you stole a car, but you're contesting the speeding ticket you got while you were driving it. Come on.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that what's happening is okay. All I'm saying is I really don't see that much of a difference. I think that any AI generation company that creates a tool, whatever information is being fed into it, they should compensate, whoever owns the music that's being fed into the system.
Well, yeah, and people should be able to opt out. I mean, what I think is going to happen with this lawsuit is that right now, I read, don't quote me on this, but I read in one article, and I hadn't seen this in previous articles, that the RIAA is seeking $150,000 per AI result, something like that. And I think, okay, well, that's never going to happen. That's just a scare tactic. You're just coming out the gate, with the flamethrower. It's not like you really think this is going to be something that they agree on, because no one has that kind of money. But did I say 150 million? 150,000? I don't know. It was 150,000. So if I misspoke, I apologize. But my gut feeling, because this is what the labels do all the time, they've been talking out of both sides of their mouth about AI since the Ghostwriter fake Drake Weekend Metro Boomin track, is they're going to threaten and litigate these two platforms into submission until the platforms say, you know what? Okay, we're done. We give up. You have too many legal resources. You have too much money. What do you want to do? And then the labels are going to say, well, since we own these massive catalogs, you're just going to start paying us to ingest these massive catalogs of our music. And now we run this. Now it's no longer decentralized. Now it's no longer multiple third-party AI companies that have these generative abilities. Now the labels are running these AI platforms, and they have their hands very much involved in these platforms the same way they have their hands involved in all the streaming platforms. Same situation. They're licensing their catalogs to these streaming platforms, and because they have the market share, they get to do whatever they want. They run things. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this AI situation. So I'm not one of those people that's like, yay, RIAA, let's go. They're fighting for our rights. They're fighting for their own money, and they've made that clear. Even in the articles, they've made that clear.
I think, going back to your question, Dame, the issue for me is origination. Whereas a human being, if they are copying a song, there's still an original thought that they have, even if the intent is to copy the song. That's the human element. With AI, there was nothing there. So its original basis is off of a copyrighted material. And then you're just adding more copyrights on top of it. So for me, it's like everything started from theft. Or even if it's if the creators were paid, regardless, which is not happening, the intent is to synthesize the exact notes, chord progression, everything, and then to reproduce that. And then you add in more so that it can reproduce other things. But there's no origination. There's no originality. It's all about processing the exactness and then just adding that on top of the next thing. So for me, that's why I feel like it's unethical, because even if you ask a producer, like, hey, can you remake this beat or can you remake this sample so that I don't get caught? They have to still go in and say, how can I add something unique to this that comes from their brain to now avoid the copyright? Whereas AI is just like, I'm going to take more and more inputs of other people's work and confuse you enough to where you can't hear it, So I think even when you're asking people to start to remake samples, you still do get into a little bit of murky water, because you're just like, we can't afford to pay this rights owner. And I feel like even that is frustrating, because I really feel like samples should be way more accessible. It should be like when you do, like when somebody does like if you remake a song.
A cover, yeah.
Yeah. If you make a cover, if you could just you could just pay the little fee, and then the money is automatically being paid to the rights holders. And now your cover is uploaded on Spotify, everywhere. You can make money. They can make money. I feel like samples should be that way, so that people aren't going in and being like, oh, well, we just remade this sample. Us even discussing this, I'm like, I still don't like that. I don't love that we're doing that. To me, it's a little bit, it's not quite, I can't say it's unethical, but for me, I'm not a huge fan of that, even when my artist has been presented with that opportunity. But to now defer to AI and say, well, you're doing the same thing as a human, it's not even true, because I'm taking my trauma, millions of data points that are lived experience, processing that through emotion. And there's a lot more, it's like my brain is operating in a certain type of way. I think that with the computer, it's literally just synthesizing information.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about art, I think there's no place for us to, it'll be hard if we say, well, it's the same as a human, it's just doing it faster, then we just continue to veer and defer to the computer as similar to a human, which means, and this is what we talked about last week, the consequences aren't the same. So if a AI robot kills a person, the robot is deprogrammed, not the whole system isn't taken down. It's just, this robot malfunctioned, take it down. If a human kills a human, now the recourse is, now there's a penalty to be paid for that life. There's life for a life. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's almost like giving the computer the same opportunity to say, like, oh, you're just faster than a human. I think that is to negate humanity and where the origination of the art came from and all the things around that.
We can move on. Ultimately, I agree with you guys to a certain. I just see a little bit more similarity to it than I guess you guys do. I still want there to be, laws in place, and AI needs to be under control. But the point in which we disagree on it doesn't even matter, because we're still on the same side of things in terms of like wanting things to be changed or regulated. So.
Well, damn, there were no fireworks on this argument. Well, let me start an argument with Aaron.
When she says that, like, hey, it originated from a human, like, in terms of how, like, our brain processes things versus a computer processes things, like, it's, we could just move on from that point. Like,
well, let me make this point then, because Aaron brought up producers replaying samples. So I think what a lot of people imagine happens when a producer samples an artist is that they're taking from that artist, right? And then the sample clearance is a process of negotiation between me, the producer, and then the artist, which it should be, but it's not. And so I'll tell you a story. We had to replay a sample once because the clearance was $80,000, which is ridiculous. Clearance should not be $80,000. And the reason it was $80,000 was not because the artist was being greedy. For all I know, the artist wasn't even alive. It was because some rich kids came along and bought up catalogs from these legacy labels. And they bought the catalogs up with the express intention of just making money off them. Not because they love the music, not because they felt like they could help the artist make some money now that they're, decades past retirement. No, they wanted to make money. And so instead of charging like a $5,000, $10,000 reasonable sample clearance rate, they were like, no, we want $80,000. And it was for a Wiz Khalifa track. So that's where my team came in. And we're like, $80,000 is unreasonable. They're just doing this for the money. It's an investment scheme, basically a scam. You buy up other artists' rights. The artists aren't even probably getting a cent from that. Who knows what kind of deal they signed if their whole catalog is just getting moved around. And that's what labels have the ability to do. So in that case, I think, all right, something's got to change. People wouldn't be replaying samples if the system were fairer.
Well, welcome. That's welcome to the music business. I don't think anybody thinks that everybody is in the music business because they love music. I don't even think any of us on here would be as involved in music if it wasn't an opportunity to pay our bills. We
couldn't be. And you know what? Fuck anyone who has a problem with that, because you are a child. You have the brain of a toddler. I see that all the time where artists are, oh, this is all about the money for you. Like, bitch, it's a job. Your job is all about your money for you. Don't be mad because we found a way to make a living doing what we love. But that living element is still fucking important. You can love your career. You can love being a teacher. And the second your teachers union dissolves and say, all right, you're on your own. Your salary's being cut. You have no more health insurance. Your pension's gone. You're going to find a new job because you are a human being who deserves to live and not be starving or without a home. So this is another conversation to file under the I don't understand people, and their logic just doesn't seem like actual capital L logic.
Can we move on to the next topic now?
Oh, you don't want me to rant anymore. All right, I got you.
I feel like it plugs into the next topic.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Do you want me to share the image?